right now on 5 on your side at 10.
School fights getting out of control in North County.
People are getting hurt. People are having to go to the hospital.
Tonight, the community meeting to stop the violence. Perfect Pitch. Ruby Lee performs in The Voice finale, the hours you have to help the Missouri team take the crown.
But first, cold winds. Today's gusty wind delivered the cold air, while we only have one frigid morning before another change comes our way.
A frigid night across St. Louis. Temperatures are plummeting to the coldest night of the season so far. Good evening, everyone. I'm Kelly Jackson.
And I'm Mike Bush. A winter feeling tonight, 1 week before Christmas, but it won't last. Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell is here to tell us how cold it will get overnight.
Well, it'll be cold enough to really add those extra layers tomorrow morning. The good thing is you won't have the winds tomorrow morning like we had this morning. We're talking temperatures already dropping into the 20s away from town. Look at Lake St. Louis and Pacific, down to 27 degrees right now. Troy's there, Edwardsville's 26. You look across the region, skies are clear. Lambert's still 30 degrees, but the outlying areas already, in some cases, are in the lower to mid 20s. And we're going down into the teens overnight tonight once you get away from town. In town, we're thinking lower 20s, so this will rival the coldest air we've seen so far this season. And let's be honest, we haven't seen a whole lot of really cold air so far this season. Winds are diminishing now. That's good news. Early Tuesday temperatures are in the teens and lower 20s. We will have warmer weather returning pretty quickly here. Wednesday, right into the upcoming weekend and through Christmas, it gets warm in St. Louis, relatively so for December. We'll see in a few minutes. We'll talk about when the rain chances ramp up.
All right, Scott. Keeping schools safe. That was the hot topic during a packed community meeting in the Ferguson-Florissant School District tonight.
As 5 on your side's Robert Townsend reports, it comes after student fights, conflicts, and violence continue to hit the district's schools in North St. Louis County.
Caught on camera in October 2021, vicious fights among female students inside the cafeteria at McClure High School in North St. Louis County. 2 years later,
95% of our students come to school each day and do what they're supposed to.
the superintendent of the Ferguson-Florissant School District says the district is still battling the problem. Dr. Joseph Davis says they've seen an uptick in the violence, particularly at their middle and high schools.
Getting into arguments on social media, at home, on the weekends, bringing those things with them to school.
School officials say there were 184 high school fights last year, 257 so far this year. Dr. Davis says a lot of the conflicts are happening at McClure and McClure North high schools. Out of control?
Very.
Anaya Johnson is a student at McClure North.
People are getting hurt. People are having to go to the hospital.
The school district increased some measures, including providing more emotional and mental health support for students. During this meeting Monday, the superintendent pleaded to parents for more proactive steps to help stop the school violence.
It is an issue of self-esteem.
Dr. Davis says he and his school board will take everything they heard very seriously. The bottom line, from students to parents to administrators, everybody in this district just wants the schools to be safe places.
I'm hoping that parents would be a lot more involved with their children.
I hope that we can get the school more in control.
Robert Townsend, 5 on your side.
And more than 100 parents attended tonight's meeting. Several Ferguson-Florissant principals, school board members, and former teachers were also there.
Tonight, one of the owners of a South St. Louis bar is charged with assaulting a police officer and resisting arrest after an SLMPD cruiser crashed into the business. That crash happened around 12:30 this morning at Bar PM. That's an LGBTQIA bar on South Broadway. Police say in the aftermath of the crash, Chad Morris shoved a police officer in the chest. Morris's husband, James Pence, says he was acting in self-defense.
There was one cop that made a very homophobic remark. My husband did put his hand on a cop out of defense because they had already put me in handcuffs for coming out wanting to know what's going on. I was told I had to ID or shut up.
Penn says officers initially told him they swerved to miss a dog. Police say the officer lost control after almost hitting a parked car. The crash remains under investigation.
Tonight, no new contract for nurses at St. Louis University Hospital after a day of negotiations. Now they could be just days away from walking off the job again. It comes more than 3 months after a 24-hour strike. New tonight, Laura Barcheski talked to a nurse who say their demands are not being heard.
Yeah, Kelly, I talked with one Sioux Hospital nurse who says they've been working all day on this contract, trying to get somewhere with these negotiations. And while they've made some progress, there's still a lot of work to do to make it a safer environment for them to work in. SSM Health's St. Louis University Hospital nurses have been without a contract for 6 months now. Union steward Sarah DeWilde says it's only been getting harder to keep going.
We're losing our co-workers, and it's disheartening.
Which leads them to a second strike, which is scheduled to last 2 days unless a contract is reached.
I think my patients deserve to be well taken care of, and I think I'm the one that does the best for them.
In a statement, SSM Health said in part, "We are deeply disappointed the National Nurses Organizing Committee has once again chosen to try and pull nurses away from the bedside to participate in a strike rather than complete discussions at the bargaining table."
National Nurses United didn't call a strike. The nurses did, right? And we don't want to go on strike. We want to get the contract done.
DeWilde says in contract negotiations, they've signed off on some things like health benefits. However, the bigger issues still have a ways to go, specifically when it comes to traveling nurses.
We gotta quit outsourcing our staff. We have got to maintain and keep the nurses that we have. So retention is another huge one. And recruitment. So whatever that means to get people in here.
She says safety is the next big issue, which is twofold for them, having enough staff to care for the patients, but also protections for the nurses at the bedside.
They're worried that they're going to be belittled or yelled at or spit at or kicked every single day. You never know what's going to happen.
SSM Health's statement goes on to say patient safety is our top priority. We will again have a comprehensive plan in place to ensure there's no disruption in care or service for the patients.
If patient safety was their top priority, they would have this done.
After a long day of negotiations, still at this hour, SLU nurses don't have a contract, and you can read the entire statement from SSM Health on KSDK.com.
Mixed emotions tonight in the Metro East after news that U.S. Steel is being sold to an international owner. The proposed sale to Japan's Nippon Steel comes just weeks after the company announced hundreds of layoffs at the Granite City Works plant as it idles steel making there indefinitely. Under the deal, U.S. Steel keeps its name and would honor union agreements. Local union leaders are cautiously optimistic.
I also have my concerns because I have not heard word from Nippon, and knowing what their direction is and their operation business plan for the acquisition, including specifically Granite City Works.
The union expects to have information meetings in the coming months.
Tonight, investigators say one of the 4 people arrested in the armed robbery of the Best Buy store in Glen Carbon is connected to other crimes. Jakaya McCoy and Angel Crosby were arrested last Thursday, along with 2 boys ages 12 and 17. Today, prosecutors charged McCoy with 2 more felonies. She is accused of stealing 2 cars from 2 separate dealerships in the Metro East on the same day last month. Tonight, a House Springs man is behind bars accused of being the Grinch who ruined a Christmas display. Lucas Clayton is charged with property damage. Investigators say he caused more than $1,000 worth of damage at House Springs Park.
Amazon Prime Video could soon be the new home for the Cardinals and Blues. According to the Wall Street Journal, Amazon is in talks to invest in Diamond Sports Group. That's the bankrupt company which owns Bally Sports Midwest. If the agreement goes through, the report says games would be streamed on Amazon Prime and continue to air on cable. Last week, Diamond and Major League Baseball agreed to continue airing games through the 2024 season.
We can go home together with suspicious minds.
That's Ruby Lee channeling the king of rock and roll in hopes of taking home the crown on NBC's The Voice. As you saw right here on 5 on Your Side, the 16-year-old from Foley, Missouri also performed the Eagles classic ballad Desperado during tonight's season finale.
The youngest singer in the competition delivered what could be the biggest performances of her life and tonight she needs your support more than ever. Our Annie Crawl was with Ruby's friends and fans as they cheered her on.
Missouri's own Ruby Lee brought a tear to people's eye during Monday's finale. This 16-year-old performed Elvis's Suspicious Minds, only the second time in the show's history.
Congratulations on getting this far. You've done so well. You've hung in there. I know it's been tough, long journey, but I'm so proud of you.
While Ruby brought down the house in L.A., her growing fandom gathered at Corey's Twin Gables in Marthasville.
Had a couple people from Foley who showed up, and I was like, oh, so you know her? And they were like, no, we don't know anybody in our town. We're just so excited, you know, and they're like that nobody's neighbors, that it's just so rural and far away. So they were pretty excited.
Best part is the fact that her follower count since she's got on the show has times 1,000.
She needs all the support she can get to win the competition and give Coach Reba McEntire her first win.
Now, making homemade signs is just the beginning here for Ruby Lee for the fans in Marthasville. I just spoke with a woman who said she has texted everyone in her phone contacts and has made a spreadsheet with hundreds of people's names on it to remind them to vote for Ruby Lee on Monday.
I mean, not everybody's from a big city, you know. There's a lot of people from small towns, and everybody's rooting for her. I mean, she's awesome.
Because nobody's going to just give this to you because you say you want to be a singer at 9 years old. And she has just absolutely just taken that advice and ran with it. She works incredibly hard, harder than I would have ever dreamt that any of my children would ever work.
Different artists already want to collaborate with Ruby, though she can't say who. Potentially,
Tyler Childers would be really cool. Billy Strings. For the rock side, Green Day. If anyone out there knows Green Day, please, I beg of you, like, please get me in touch. But yeah, I think they would all be really cool to work with. I think Green Day would be cool to work with, you know, because like people don't expect it. And it's like one of my favorite bands of all time.
Reporting in Marthasville, Annie Crawl, 5 on your side.
Well, we'll find out who will be crowned The Voice tomorrow night at 8, right here on 5 on your side. Ruby's family says she needs a lot of new voters to pull out the win. Voting is live now on the Voice website and app. From now until 6 a.m., you can vote once on each per email address. For more information, text the word Ruby to 314-425-5355, and we'll send you a link.
A major shift by the Vatican. Tonight, the message from the Archdiocese of St. Louis to local Catholics in same-sex marriages. From under the tree to straight back to the store.
Probably an ugly, ugly purse that I had to return and try to exchange without the person knowing that I'm exchanging it.
Tonight, we're unwrapping store policies for stress-free returns.
It's not a stress-free forecast. We get the cold air out of here. That means it's not a white Christmas. And now, the way it's looking, a wet one. We'll track all the changes in 6 minutes.